Fridays were always the same. Lucas would come over, we'd order some food, watch whatever was on, and just talk about the week. It was routine, predictable, something I liked about it. That night was no different, at least at first. We were sitting in the living room, the soft hum of the television filling the space between our conversation. It was one of those easygoing evenings where neither of us had anywhere to be and nothing felt urgent. Just two friends catching up, laughing over some dumb inside joke from years ago. Then my stepmom, Evelyn, walked in. She wasn't dressed up or anything, just a simple sweater and leggings, but there was something about her presence that changed the entire atmosphere. She was in her mid-40s, but she had this effortless way of carrying herself, a quiet confidence that made people take notice. She wasn't flashy, never tried too hard, but somehow that only made her more striking. Lucas tensed beside me, and I noticed the way his posture subtly shifted. He always got a little weird whenever she was around, though he never said anything about it. It was in the way he hesitated when she spoke, the way he barely made eye contact, but still seemed hyper-aware of her presence. I never brought it up. I figured if he wanted to say something, he would. "Hey, boys," Evelyn said, stepping into the room with a small smile. She carried a tray with 3 cups of tea, her movements relaxed. "Thought you might want something warm." "Thanks," I said, reaching for a cup. Lucas did the same, but he didn't say anything. She set the tray down and took a seat not on the couch, but on the armrest of the chair across from us. It was a small choice, but one that made me feel like we were being studied, observed. "You guys look like you're having fun," she said, stirring her tea casually. "Yeah, just catching up," I replied, trying to sound normal. Lucas cleared his throat. "Yeah, just talking about work and stuff." Evelyn nodded, taking a slow sip of her drink. She had this way of pausing before she spoke, like she was carefully choosing every word. Finally, she tilted her head slightly, her eyes flickering between us. "You know," she said, her tone light but deliberate, "I've noticed something interesting." Lucas and I exchanged a quick glance. "Noticed what?" I asked. She set her cup down and smiled. "The way you two act when I'm around." My stomach twisted. I wasn't sure where she was going with this, but something about the way she said it made my pulse pick up. Lucas went still beside me, gripping his cup a little too tightly. I let out a small, nervous laugh. "What do you mean?" She raised an eyebrow. "Oh, come on. You both get quieter, more aware. You think I don't notice, but I do." She leaned back slightly. "It's interesting." Lucas let out a nervous chuckle, shaking his head. "Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about." Evelyn just smiled, like she knew something we didn't. The silence stretched between us, thick and heavy. I didn't know what to say. There was an unspoken understanding in the room, something we all felt, but none of us wanted to acknowledge. Evelyn finally stood up, brushing non-existent dust off her sweater. "Relax, boys," she said lightly. "I just think it's funny. You don't have to be weird about it." Lucas exhaled, looking relieved. "Yeah, of course." She gave us one last glance before heading toward the stairs. "Well, enjoy your night." We watched her go, neither of us speaking until the sound of her footsteps disappeared upstairs. Only then did I turn to Lucas. "What was that?" I asked. He ran a hand through his hair. "Dude, I have no idea." We sat there for a moment, trying to process it. The night had started like any other, but now something had shifted. I could feel it in the air, in the way Lucas kept glancing toward the stairs like he expected her to come back down. I didn't know what it meant, but I had a feeling things weren't going to go back to normal anytime soon. The rest of the night should have gone back to normal, but it didn't. We tried. Lucas made some dumb joke about the show we were watching, and I laughed, but the energy wasn't the same. There was something hanging between us, something we didn't want to address. Evelyn's words lingered in my mind. The way you two act when I'm around. I didn't think we acted any differently, at least, not in a way that was obvious. But she'd noticed something, and the way she had said it, it wasn't just a passing remark, it was deliberate. Lucas shifted beside me, staring at the screen but not really watching. I could tell his mind was elsewhere. You good? I asked, trying to sound casual. He blinked like he'd just snapped back to reality. Yeah, just thinking. I hesitated before asking about what she said. He let out a short laugh, shaking his head. Dude, I don't even know. That was weird, right? Yeah, I admitted. Really weird. Lucas sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. Maybe she was just messing with us. Maybe. But I didn't believe that, and I don't think he did either. We sat in silence for a while, the only sound coming from the television. Normally we'd be talking, joking, debating about some stupid thing, but tonight felt different. Eventually, Lucas checked his phone. I should probably head out. I nodded. Yeah, okay. He stood up, stretching. You working tomorrow? Yeah, early shift. Brutal. He grabbed his jacket, but before he left, he paused. He looked at me like he wanted to say something, but he wasn't sure if he should. What? I asked. Lucas hesitated, then shook his head. Nothing. See you later, man. I watched him go, the front door clicking shut behind him. The moment he was gone, I exhaled, running a hand through my hair. I turned off the television and headed upstairs. The house was quiet, just the soft hum of the refrigerator downstairs and the occasional creak of the walls settling. My dad was out of town for work, meaning it was just Evelyn and me here for the next few days. As I passed by her room, I noticed her door was slightly open. That was unusual. She normally kept it shut. For a second I thought about knocking, maybe bringing up what she'd said earlier, but what would I even say? Hey, what did you mean by that whole thing downstairs? No, that would be weird. Instead, I just went to my room, closed the door and got into bed. But sleep didn't come easily. The next morning, I woke up feeling groggy. Work was a blur, just hours of going through the motions, ringing up customers, stocking shelves, answering the same questions over and over. But through it all, I kept thinking about last night. By the time my shift ended, I was ready to just go home and sleep. But as soon as I stepped inside, I knew that wasn't going to happen. Evelyn was in the kitchen, stirring a pot on the stove. The smell of something savoury filled the air. She looked up when she saw me. Hey, she said with a small smile. How was work? Fine, I replied, setting my bag down. She nodded, then after a pause, added, Lucas left in a hurry last night. I stiffened slightly. Yeah, he was just tired. She hummed like she wasn't convinced. I hope I didn't make him uncomfortable. I let out a small laugh, trying to make it sound natural. Why would you? Evelyn turned off the stove and faced me fully. Oh, I don't know. Maybe because I pointed out the obvious. I swallowed. The obvious? She smiled knowingly. That you two act strange around me. There it was again. She wasn't letting it go. I don't think we do, I said, though it didn't sound as confident as I wanted. Evelyn just tilted her head slightly, studying me. Then she let out a soft chuckle. "If you say so." I wasn't sure what to say to that, so I just nodded and mumbled, "I'm going to go to my room." She didn't stop me, but as I climbed the stairs, I had the feeling that whatever had started last night wasn't over yet. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't know how I felt about that.